is Annapolis, and these are the midshipmen who make up the brigade of the United States Naval Academy. These are their stories, full of their laughter, their heartache, their tragedies and triumphs. The stories of the men of Annapolis.
Hey, what do you think of this?
Huh?
Remember my telling you about that old guy that lived next door to us? The cranky old miser?
Yeah?
Mom writes he got sick and had to be taken to the hospital. The welfare people went through his house. You know what she says they found?
$1 million in cash?
Nothing. He was penniless. They're getting up a collection for him.
Uh-huh.
Oh, wait, I'm not finished. You missed the whole point. When I was a kid, we used to play around his place all the time. He was a grouchy old guy. He was always chasing us and threatening to call the police.
So?
Well, nobody ever liked him. Not only was he grouchy, but he never gave any money to anything, you know, like the Red Cross and community chess. Everybody had him pegged as a miser. Can you imagine? Mom says the poor guy was going hungry because he didn't have any money. And he wouldn't ask for help because he knew nobody liked him.
Yeah, I guess it's a pretty terrible feeling to know there isn't one single person in the whole community who likes you.
That's it exactly. How did you know that everybody in town was down on him?
Well, I didn't. I was thinking about a similar sort of case. Something that happened back in my hometown.
An old miser, huh?
No, this was different. But it concerned another friendless guy. A crime was committed, and a whole town was nearly wrecked because of it.
A whole town? What crime did the guy commit?
Now, there you go, jumping to conclusions again. Just like with your old miser. I didn't say whether the guy committed the crime or the town committed the crime. And I'm still not sure. Let me tell you the story and see what you think. It was when I went home on leave last month. Oakview isn't much of a town, as far as towns go. No big industries. Nobody important ever born there. But you know how it is with a hometown. It's the most important place in the world to you. And the people are always the most special.
Got a great camping trip planned for us.
Where to this time?
Later. Ever since you were old enough to walk, you've always picked press time to come around to bother me. Now, sit down and relax while I finish this editorial.
Sure, Dad. What are you fighting for this time? A new roof on City Hall?
Don't be such a smart aleck. This is important.
Hey, Joey Barton got married. Seems like yesterday he was too shy to even look at a girl. Good turnout for the church social. Sorry I missed it. George Grimes dies in mysterious fire. Oh, Dad, you didn't tell me that. What happened? What do you mean, mysterious? The facts seem to be horribly simple. Fired that afternoon, Larry Braddock returned to George Grimes' house that night, waited until Grimes was asleep, then set fire. Larry Braddock, he did this?
Murdered Grimes. Can you imagine? There isn't a person in this town who wasn't indebted to old man Grimes one way or another. Braddock most of all. Then he killed him.
Why? Why would he do a thing like that?
Well, Grimes fired him that afternoon. He probably caught him stealing. So Braddock went back there for revenge.
Larry's confessed?
Not yet. He doesn't have to. It's an open and shut case against him. He was seen around Grimes' house about an hour before the fire started. Then afterwards, the fireman found Braddock's wristwatch at the origin of the fire. Now, let me finish this.
Well, if you ask me, that Braddock kid should have been sent to reformatory years ago. Then maybe this thing wouldn't have happened.
And that editorial your old man wrote in today's paper. Boy, I sure go along with that.
You mean why Larry did it?
No, the end of it. Sure expresses the feelings of all of us here. Didn't you read it?
No, I didn't have a chance.
Oh, well, wait a minute. I got it right here. Yeah, here, listen to this. In this modern day, complex and oft-times frightening civilization of ours, we read about people like Larry Braddock and the crimes they commit all too frequently. Read about it and then forget it as something that couldn't happen here. But it has happened here to our most beloved citizen. And now justice will take its course. But sometimes we can't help think, but what a case such as this would have been handled better 100 years ago in the days of the vigilantes.
Darn right. They'd have known what to do with Braddock.
Just string him up. Give him what he deserves.
Oh, no, you don't mean that.
Well, why not? Isn't that what your dad says? Oh, well, not in so many words, but the meaning is sure there.
My dad says he's going to have to put on extra deputies down at the jail. I wouldn't be surprised if he thinks Larry needs special protection.
If your old man wasn't chief of police, you can bet I'd be willing to join any group that wanted to try and grab Braddock.
What's come over all you guys?
What's the matter with you? If it weren't for old man Grimes, you wouldn't be wearing that uniform. He helped you get your appointment to Annapolis. Or have you forgotten?
I haven't forgotten. But I also haven't forgotten the way he always used to try and help the underdog.
Yeah, like Braddock. Gave him a nice, easy job in his garage when nobody else in town would hire him. And then he finds out that Larry is stealing him blind.
How do you know that?
Well, why else would a nice fellow like Mr. Grimes have fired him? Why, it had to be that. I can remember Larry, when he was a kid, come sneak into my place and steal candy. It's a wonder he didn't burn me up the last time I caught him.
Well, what about the rest of us? We all used to snitch candy from you. But you still don't know for sure that Larry had a grudge against Mr. Grimes.
I don't much like the way you're talking, Conway.
Oh, that's that Annapolis training, the honor code, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the Admiral's too high and mighty to have emotions like the rest of us.
Maybe you'd feel different, Admiral, if it was your father who was killed in that fire. Maybe then you'd have some feelings against Braddock. Come on.
Oh, hi, son. I thought you were spending the evening visiting the old bunch.
I heard about that editorial you wrote.
Oh, I got a lot of calls on it tonight. Everyone seems to agree with me.
I don't. I think it was vicious. Rotten.
Why is that, son?
You always told me that a newspaper helps to make public opinion. That a good paper should be honest, impartial.
You think I went overboard on the Braddock case?
Overboard? Well, you not only convicted him of murder, but you as much as said he ought to be lynched.
Every town has its hero, Bob. Its most respected citizen. Well, George Grimes was ours. The police made the case against Braddock. I didn't. I'm just saying the same as everybody else in town.
Have you talked to Larry?
I tried to, but he won't talk to anybody. If you were innocent, wouldn't he try to prove it?
How? Nobody ever gave him a break, did they? Except Mr. Grimes. But ever since I can remember, whenever a house was broken into, a car stolen, or any kind of trouble, Larry would be the first one blamed.
I never knew he was a friend of yours, son.
Friend? I couldn't stand being around him. There was always something strange and miserable about him. But that doesn't make him a criminal.
What are they teaching you at the academy, son? The dignity of mankind or something?
That's what the guys at Sut said. I'm too high and mighty for them, just because I didn't agree that Larry was guilty before being tried. I always thought that a man was considered innocent until proven guilty.
Okay, relax, simmer down. I'll go along with you on that. I guess most of us in town are too hepped up to try to look at it dispassionately. But I wouldn't go around sounding off like that, Bob. This isn't your affair.
I don't want it to be my affair. I just like Larry to get the same break anybody else would. Someday, I hope I'm going to command a ship. Maybe I'll have a man under me like Larry, the kind you immediately dislike for no real reason at all. I'm just trying to learn that in something big like this case, or in commanding a ship, I can try to keep my personal feelings from interfering with my judgment.
Good enough, boy. I'm with you there. Now, let's forget about it, Bob. Oh, take a look at this report I got in the fishing up at the lake.
The next few days were like old times. I was having fun renewing old acquaintances and getting ready with Dad for our camping trip. I had all but forgotten about Larry Braddock.
Hey, you know something? I haven't heard any news in 2 whole days. Can you imagine that? A newspaper editor not knowing what's going on in the world?
Well, you got the 4 o'clock news coming up. Why don't you stretch out in the car and listen?
Well, what about supper?
For once, these are gonna be cooked right. I'm gonna cook them.
That's fine with me. Call me if you need any help.
Okay, Dad.
What's the matter, Dad?
Larry Braddock, he escaped jail.
What?
It happened this morning. They were going to transfer him to the county jail, and he got away.
Poor guy. They'll find him.
I've got to get back to town, son. I hate to leave, but I've got to cover this story.
Well, sure, Dad, I understand. I'll wait here.
I'll try to get back tonight if I can. Otherwise, tomorrow for sure. Okay?
Okay.
Just kind of knocked your theory into a cocked hat, huh?
What theory?
That maybe he was innocent. Innocent people don't have to run away. Anyway, they'll find him. He can't be far. He could even be someplace around here. Well, I'll see you later, son.
Larry, it's Bob Conway. I'm alone. I'm coming in.
Keep away from me. I said keep away from me. Keep away.
Larry, I'm not after you. I'm not going to try anything. I just want to talk to you. You can't get away, Larry. They'll find you. Why don't you give yourself up?
So they can do anything they want with me? No thanks.
Well, you'll get a fair trial. This'll only make it worse for you.
That's a hot one. Nothing I do now can make it any tougher on me. Nothing. Don't you come any closer.
Did you kill Mr. Grimes?
Sure I did. Ask anybody in town. They'll all tell you I set fire to his house after he was asleep.
I'm asking you.
What do you care? Are you gonna do me any good if I tell the truth? Are you gonna be the judge or sit on the jury?
I was told you wouldn't talk to anybody about it. That's why I wanted to see you, to hear your side.
My side? What was the sense of my talking to anybody? Do you think anybody would have believed me?
I'll believe you, Larry. Whatever you say, I'll believe it.
Boy, it's the first time I ever did anything dumb like that. You got a smoke on you?
No. If you're hungry, I've got some trout down there.
What's a gag? You figure on getting a scoop for your old man's paper?
No. I just wanted to help you if I could.
Help me? What for?
I don't know.
And you're willing to believe anything I tell you, huh?
That's right.
I gotta stay here till it gets dark anyway. You want to hear what really happened? Okay. He called me over to his house to bawl me out. Said I wasn't paying attention to business. I was supposed to replace a brake lining on some dame's car, and I forgot to do it. Anyway, she had an accident, so she came squawking to Grimes.
You didn't have a fight with him?
You asked for the truth, didn't you? You said you'd believe me, didn't you? Well, shut up and let me talk. Like I said, he called me over to bawl me out. He didn't say he was going to fire me or anything like that. He wasn't that kind of a guy.
I know.
I promised I'd try and do better. We sat around and chewed the fat for a while, and after that I went home.
Well, if you were at home when the fire started...
I wasn't. It was a hot night. After I got home, I decided to go out. I took a walk in the woods. Nobody saw me.
Well, what about your wristwatch? They said it was found at the spot where the fire started.
Yeah. That's right. The strap was busted and I had it in my pocket. It must have fallen out when I was sitting there talking with Grimes.
Well, why didn't you tell him this?
Oh, sure. Then they'd have believed it, wouldn't they? Just like you do.
I believe you, Larry.
Okay, that makes 2 of us. 2 out of 8,000. Those are pretty lousy odds.
There was nobody else at Mr. Grimes' house that night?
No.
Well, the way I understand it, he went upstairs to go to sleep. The fire started in the living room shortly afterwards, right?
Who knows? All they told me was that old man Grimes was dead and that I did it. What's the difference how it started or where?
It might be important. Anything you can remember might be important.
What do you want me to say? That I saw him set fire to the joint himself? That he told me he was going to commit suicide? Forget it. I don't know how the fire started. That's my story and I'm stuck with it.
Another hour and it'll start to get dark.
That's when I get out of here.
Where are you going?
I don't know. But I'll need different clothes. Money.
Well, I've got a little money with me and a change of clothes down at camp. You're welcome to them.
Come on, Conway, what's a gag? You never gave a hoot for me when we were kids together. What's all this good Samaritan stuff now?
I don't know. I believe you. I'll give you the clothes and the money, but I want something from you in return.
Oh. Now it comes. The gimmick.
No, no gimmick, Larry. I just want your promise that you'll stay here until tomorrow morning.
Why?
I want to go back to town. Tell my father about this. Tell him your story, that you're afraid to give yourself up.
Yeah, then what?
If he agrees to help you, I'll be back in the morning, alone. I promise I won't tell him where you are.
And if you do get him to help, then what?
We'll get a lawyer for you. We'll prove that you're innocent. And you'll be helping yourself by voluntarily going back.
Okay. It's a deal. You get the clothes and the dough for me. I'll wait here for you till morning.
Thanks. I'll be right back. And from there, he said he went for a walk in the woods. I believe him, Dad. I said we'd get him a lawyer.
Now, what about giving him the money and clothes?
I told you. I had to prove to him I was on the level. It was the only way I could get him to stay there. When I go back in the morning, he'll give himself up. I know he will.
Oh, you didn't believe that stuff, did you? Why, he'll be out of the state by then.
No.
Use your head, Bob. You know what you did? That's called aiding and abetting an escaped criminal. That could make you an accessory to his crime.
I tell you, he didn't do it, Dad. He was telling the truth. Who are you calling?
The district attorney. They'll still be able to get him tonight. George, this is Ed Conway. I think we've got some news for you about that Braddock kid. Yeah, my boy was talking to him. Can you get right over here? Yeah, the office. Right.
For heaven's sake, Dad, I gave Larry my word.
I'm only thinking of you, Bob. I don't care whether they catch him or not. But you helped him.
I'd do it again, Dad.
You know what this could mean? A scandal like this? Why, it could be a black mark against you. You could get thrown out of the academy. You want to ruin your life because of a kid like Braddock?
If you knew anything about the academy and the things it really stands for, you wouldn't say that. An officer is supposed to stand by his men, to uphold them when they're in the right. We're taught that you don't run away from a battle or a decision. And we're taught that your word is all important. Larry Braddock's nothing to you, except maybe headlines and a reason for writing some editorials. You don't care whether he's innocent or guilty.
Now, let me get this straight. You're not going to tell me where Braddock is. And you made a bargain with him that he's guaranteed help or he can escape. Is that right?
That's the deal, George.
I'm surprised at you, Ed. I can't stand still for that. He won't be there in the morning.
It's my fault if you want to blame anybody. I made the deal. Dad had nothing to do with it.
Oh, shut up.
Oh, I see. Bob made the deal and you're stuck with it, huh, Ed?
I'm in with Bob because I want to be. Braddock told Bob his side of the story, and we're going to help him.
Well, I'd like to help him, too, if he'd let me. I tried to talk with him. He wouldn't say a word.
What did you say? I mean, About helping him.
That's right. We've got a circumstantial case, and that's all. Way I look at it, Grimes could have accidentally started the fire himself before he went to bed. He was always leaving lighted cigars and cigarettes around.
Then if Larry's innocent?
If he's innocent, nothing's going to happen to him. But he's going to have to get over this persecution complex and tell me his story. You made a deal with him. Okay? I'll go along with you. I'll wait until tomorrow morning. I'll let him walk into my office and say that he's giving himself up. But I'm telling you, right now, if he's not wherever you've got him when you go back tomorrow morning, it won't look good. Not for any of you. Night.
I'll go in alone, Dad.
Okay.
Larry? Larry?
He's not there. Well, he was scared, Dad. He didn't know whether he could trust me or not. Well, I don't blame him. It was my fault for leaving him there. Dad! Dad, look!
He ran off during the night because he was scared. But then he started thinking, and that's when he came back. We drove Larry back to town and took him to the DA's office.
Yeah. Then what?
Well, Larry told the DA the same story he told me. And Dad got a lawyer for him.
The lawyer were able to prove he didn't do it?
Well, my leave was up the next day, and I didn't know what happened until just now.
What do you mean, just now?
It's right here. But you're not going to see it until you tell me. What do you think? Was he guilty or innocent?
Oh, come on. Look, I am never going to prejudge again. How could you expect me to after a story like that? Let me see it, huh? Coroner's jury returns verdict of accidental death in Grimes' case. Hey, that's wonderful.
And down below it says it was definitely proved at the trial that Grimes accidentally started the fire himself by dropping a burning ash. By coincidence, it was near the spot where Larry lost his wristwatch.
Boy, was Larry lucky. If it hadn't been for you, he'd have been a dead duck.
Oh, I just got him to tell me his side of the story.
Yeah, but you were willing to believe in him all along. That's the important thing. And I think of some of the tricks we used to pull on that poor old man.
Why don't you drop him a line? I'll bet he'd be delighted to hear from you.
You've got a terrific idea there. You know, I'll bet everybody in town feels like I do now. He'll know he has friends and people who believe in him and want to help him. But how about this Braddock guy? Do you think he'll get a break in your town now, or will everybody still be down on him?
Well, I know of one person who's willing to pick up where Mr. Grimes left off. The Oakview Journal is pleased to announce the addition of Mr. Larry Braddock, longtime resident of Oakview, to its composing room staff. Glad to have you with us, Larry. Signed, Ed Conway, editor, publisher.
Hey, how about that letter? I'm going to do it right now.
Yes, this is Annapolis, the United States Naval Academy, proud of its dignity, its history, its traditions, but most of all, proud of its men. Next week, we will bring you another story of the men of Annapolis. was played by William Lechner. Ed Conway by Ted Jacks.